Hello guys, we are back with our series Battleforge vs Nimble vs Noble Houses. And you can fight them on your own if you press Control and you attack them, or you can fight them in the Noble War. Let's get right into it. So the Footman is the guy with the shield, has most of the time a sword, star, or a military pick, has Battleforge with medium hit points, fast adaptation, Shield Expert, can rotate, weapon mastery, all that good stuff. So these guys have high defense, hard to kill because of the shield wall. So especially early on, two-handed flails and one-handed flails can be decent of breaking their lines. They have low hit points, so they are very susceptible to high armor ignore damage from duelist or big two-handed weapons. Also very susceptible to getting headshotted by two-handed flails over the shield wall. So that's a good way of breaking them. Relatively high resolve with good defense. Next ones are the Billmen. The Billmen have the lower armor, like a lot of the time they have low armor, but they can have higher armor as well with Backstabber, Fast Adaptation, Reach Advantage, and Battleforge themselves. Again, high defense, high melee skill, high resolve, high relative, medium hit points, not high. These guys are nasty. They will kill your bros relatively fast because of their billhook piles and pole hammer. Really nasty. Thing is, the billhook and the pikes have good direct damage, which is bad versus Nimble. The pole hammer has really high armor efficiency, so it's really bad versus Battleforge. Strong guys. Then we have the Arbalester. These are the crossbows. They have crossbows and heavy crossbows. Really nasty, especially on your Forge bros. Although if you have the 4 padding, you will be fine. But if not, these guys will do high damage and even threaten Battleforge with their high damage crossbows. They have relatively low range skill though, high resolve, low hit points. So these guys also, they don't have high range defense. So these guys can be dealt with your own archers, crossbows, throwers, whatever. So targeting these and having a dedicated sniper with bullseye can be really worth it, especially because a lot of the time, or most of the time, they have bad armor and sometimes they don't have headgear. So with Headhunter, you can just destroy those. Yeah. Again, high Battleforge is Nimble is specifically very good versus crossbows. In this case, versus Arbalester specifically, Nimble is better than crossbows. Standard Barrier is the Standard Bearer guy. High resolve. This guy can rally the troops, like your own bannerman can. And that is also the reason why Fearsome is not that great versus noble houses. They come in large quantities. And the thing is, yeah, if they drop in moral, they can a lot of the time just get rallied. So Fearsome is kind of like a 50-50 thing. A lot of the time it doesn't work, but sometimes it does work. Sergeant has a duelist with fast adaptation and Nimble. They tend to have heavy armor with Nimble and high defense, high skill. So these guys are kind of like a sword master with lesser defense, but still high output, especially if they have axes. Man, these guys do a shit ton of damage. Overall, I would say, especially because they have fighting axes, I would say Nimble is worse versus them because of the headshot thing. Like they do so much more damage to headshots. With the one-handed axes, they do basically double the damage. So and Nimble tends to not have steel bro. If you get hit twice with a one-handed axe on your head, man, it's gonna suck. On Battleforge, you do not have the multiplier, so you only take 100% of the damage. If you are Nimble and you don't have steel bro, you will take 200% of the weapon damage to your head by the one-handed axe. So this one, really nasty versus Nimble, although the mace and the warhammer can really fuck up Battleforge a lot. So this guy is just really tough, hard to kill, and high damage output. Dangerous opponent, similar to the Swordmaster. Zweihanders. Battleforge, a shit ton of perk. They have also Lone Wolf, fast adaptation. A lot of the time they have decent armor, come with a great sword. Nasty opponents, high defense, good attack, good hit points, good resolve. And these guys will do a shit ton of damage with the swords. Actually, a lot of the time they will step and threaten your backline. Because of the high damage of the sword, but just the average armor penetration, Battleforge is of course better versus the greatsword attack. The Nimble doesn't like too much the high damage of the greatsword. The Knight is it's basically the same as the Trash Knight of the Brigands. High resolve, high defense, high attack. Has Noble Sword, Warhammer, Winged Mace, or Fighting Axe. I think it's a little bit different, right? They only have one-handed weapons with shields, basically. There's a 2% chance of becoming a champion. Yeah, they have a lot of perks. Again, really hard to deal with opponents. Really, really tanky. Surrounding them, netting them down, and stabbing them with the knives is better. Because of the weapons that they do not have double grip. So especially versus the sword and the Fighting Axe, Battleforge is better versus the Warhammer and the Winged Mace. Nimble is better. But yeah, you don't want to get hit by this guy too much. Doesn't matter if you're Battleforge or Nimble. Okay. And of course, the supply caravans also have the above mentioned troops plus donkeys, of course. So overall, I would say versus Footmen, Battleforge is better because Footmen depends. The military pick does a decent amount of damage versus Battleforge. Overall, I would say specifically on this faction, it is, I would say, 50-50, and it heavily depends on what kind of weapons they have, because this faction uses, they have a combination of everything, right? They have the Arbalesters, which is their only ranged output, which is strong versus, tends to be stronger versus Forge, and weaker versus Nimble. They have no throwing weapons. But they also have the Billmans, and the Billhook and the Pike can really mess up the Nimble bros. But the Polehammer can really mess up the Forge bros, so it's even on this guy. The Sergeants depends on their weapon again. Same for the Knight, the Zweihander. I mean, the high damage of the sword, your Forge bro are more likely to tank the hit better than your Nimble bro. Yeah, and the Footman. So I would say it's roughly even. You can take Nimble bros in this fight and Forge bros. I think this is one of these rare occasions where you really have to check what kind of weapons your opponents are using and put specific bros versus specific opponents. So try to put the Nimble guys versus the Polehammer guys, for instance, or the military pick, the one-handed hammer guys, and try to put the Forge guys versus the Billmans who have like swords or pikes and stuff. The thing is, they have rotate, so they decide who they attack. And a lot of the time, this can be your first crisis, or I like to take this as my first crisis. I really like this crisis. It's my favorite one. You have huge battles with, like you fight 30 or 40 opponents. It's super, super nice. Really, this is like peak Battle Brothers experience, Noble House fights. Yeah, overall, I would say is roughly even between Battleforge and Nimble. If you don't have Battleforge or Nimble, it's pretty sketchy. Then they will damage you no matter what. But having like, it would be nice to have a full company that is like all level 11 with Battleforge and or Nimble and the gear that comes with that. But I mean, if you have a full Nimble company versus them, is okay, right? Wouldn't be too bad. So I would say it's roughly 50-50 on this faction. All right, guys, I hope if you're a newer player, you learned something. If not, I hope you had at least fun, find this entertaining. And please, if you did so, write it down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.